Hello, my name is Riley, and I'll be discussing territorial disputes and tensions in the South China Sea. The South China Sea is an important region for global trade. China's nine-dash line is a boundary that marks China's territorial claims in the region. The boundary encompasses almost 90% of the South China Sea, and this includes islands located in the region like the Spratly and Paracel Islands. There's many other nations in the regions that have claims to territory that overlaps China's nine-dash line. This has obviously caused great instability and tensions in the region. In response to China's aggressive claims and actions in the region, the United States and allies have been conducting freedom of navigation operations with their respective navies. This means that the U.S. will sail its navy through disputed waters to show that the international community does not recognize China's claims to the territory in the region. According to the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, an estimated one-third of global shipping transits the South China Sea each year. In 2016, an estimated $3.4 trillion worth of global trade moved through the region. So many nations around the world rely on these waterways for global commerce, so it's important that China not be able to control the flow of trade in the region. 60% of China's trade in value travels by sea each year, making the South China Sea vital to Chinese economy. China exports approximately $874 billion worth of goods through the South China Sea each year. So China views the South China Sea as being vital to their economic security, and this is probably why most attempts at diplomatic negotiations have failed in the past. So countries that have claims to territory in the South China Sea are China, Taiwan, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and the Philippines. And if you look at the map, you can see that China makes claim to all the islands and most of the territory in the region. Like I said previously, it's approximately 90% of the whole South China Sea. And you can see in the Paracel Islands, Vietnam, China, and Taiwan all have claims to certain islands in that island chain. If you look at the Spratly Islands, you can see that it looks like Malaysia, Brunei, Vietnam, China, the Philippines, and Taiwan all have claims in that island chain. So you can see that it's a pretty disputed and controversial area, and there's a lot of tensions, and it threatens to disrupt global trade and stability. So in 2014, China began building artificial islands in the South China Sea. By 2016, an international court heard a case, Philippines versus China, and it ruled in favor of the Philippines and basically rejected essentially all of China's territorial claims in the South China Sea. China, of course, refused to accept this outcome and did not see the court or its ruling as legitimate. Since that ruling, China rapidly started to militarize the artificial islands and also other islands in the region, like the Spratly and Paracel Islands, and they began placing military aircraft, ships, radar, and ballistic missile systems on the islands. So, in response to this, the United States and allies started to step up their freedom of navigation operations in the region to deter their aggression. And China did not like this because they believe that this is their sovereign territory, and they believe that foreign militaries do not have the right to sail through the South China Sea and conduct operations. China has continuously attempted to threaten and intimidate foreign militaries that sail through these waters and conduct freedom of navigation operations. They've sailed their own naval ships dangerously close to U.S. military ships and other military ships. They constantly scramble fighter aircraft to escort other navies out of the area. And this is obviously dangerous because a miscalculation by any of the militaries in this region could have pretty devastating consequences globally, could result in war and disruption in global commerce. So I think it's important to state that the international community does not recognize China's territorial claims. China will continue to reject the international court and community's views on the region. So the U.S. and its allies must continue to deter China's aggressive actions in the region. There's great potential for conflict in this area to occur. A number of things could happen in the region that could lead to conflict, so it's important that we communicate and attempt to use diplomacy when we can. We should also look at the dispute China has with Taiwan regarding Taiwan's status as a sovereign nation. Um, China views Taiwan as being a breakaway province from China. Taiwan views itself as its own sovereign nation with its own customs and culture and values and government. Um, China does not like this and has threatened Taiwan in the past, and this could further destabilize the region. China could set up a naval blockade around Taiwan, which would affect the global economy since Taiwan is a big manufacturer of electronics and electronic components. They could also invade Taiwan, use force, which could start a regional conflict, and that has the potential to morph into a bigger global conflict. So, in closing, the South China Sea is an important region for global stability and commerce, and it needs to remain a free economic zone that countries are free to transit and export trade through.